This is another of our sim challenges at Flight Insight. Over the next 4 videos, we're going to go through an entire instrument proficiency check. We've let our IFR currency lapse, and now we have to grab a CFII and go up to have our proficiency evaluated. For the full series, check out the page on our website, linked here or in the description. You could play along with us on your own sim, or fly the real thing if you're nearby. For this sim challenge, we're in the Adirondacks at Saranac Lake, New York, in our IFR GPS-equipped Cessna 172. It's pretty cloudy, so we're actually going to file IFR for this one. It's not a requirement to fly IFR on your IPC, but it certainly adds a degree of realism. The instructor you fly with acts as an examiner for this proficiency check, and it's their discretion what the flight will entail. There is a minimum list of items required to be completed, which is found in an appendix to the instrument ACS. We'll be doing a precision and non-precision approach, a missed approach and hold, a partial panel approach, and a circling approach with a landing. The only required item we won't be doing today is the unusual attitude recoveries. We'll save that for the sim. In fact, most of this list can be accomplished in an approved sim, with the exception of the circling approach and landing. We'll be IFR, so we're going to file what's called a round-robin flight plan, leaving from Saranac Lake and going to nearby Lake Placid Airport, followed by a return to SLK as we've entered it into our flight plan and foreflight. Now in the cockpit, the first thing we'll do is have a look at our GPS. We have what's called a stack, a Garmin 530 on top and a 430 on the bottom, WAS enabled. We'd make sure the database is up to date while the units initialize. Let's set up some frequencies. We pull up the taxiway diagram for Saranac Lake and find the AWAS, which we'll put into our COM2, 124.17. Let's turn on the COM2 receiver to listen in. While that's coming in, we'll also set the CTAF frequency on COM1, 123.0. So the winds are very strong out of the east today. A look at the taxiway diagram tells us that we'll definitely want runway 9. Runway 5 could work if we had to, but it would be a stiff crosswind. Let's look at what our departure out of here on runway 9 would look like. We're going to go to the Departures tab on the Procedure section and pull up the takeoff minimums for the airport page. For runway 9, we show takeoff minimums are standard, meaning 1 statute mile of visibility, if we can maintain a minimum climb gradient of 500 feet per nautical mile to 5,000 feet. Can we do that? The Cessna 172 POH shows that from a pressure altitude of 2,000 feet, about where we are, at 20 Celsius, we can do 580 feet per minute. Remember, this is our rate of climb, not our climb gradient. We have to convert this to feet per nautical mile. Our climb speed will be 76 knots. We have a direct headwind on takeoff gusting to 22 knots. So at our slowest, our ground speed will be about 55 knots. This means our climb gradient is just below 580 feet per nautical mile. Enough to clear the 500 foot minimum, but consider that we need to maintain that through 5,000 feet. Our climb performance degrades as we get higher. Our POH says that at 4,000 feet pressure altitude, we'll only be doing 480 feet per minute. Even if that strong wind continues in our face and we're only doing 60 knots ground speed, that's not going to be enough to maintain the minimum gradient. We need another plan. We could do runway 5, which only requires 345 feet per nautical mile, or we could do a visual climb over the airport, VCOA. The requirements for runway 9 are that the ceiling is at least 2,500 AGL and the visibility at least 3 miles. We meet both requirements. The cloud ceiling was 2,700. A little lower down the page, we see that the VCOA requires us to inform ATC of our intentions and to climb in visual conditions while circling the field to 4,000 feet, then continuing. This is what we'll do. ATC on this flight will be handled by Boston Center. They won't be able to pick us up over the radio from the ground surrounded by mountains like this, so we're going to call them on the number listed on the chart supplement page, 603-879-6859. Once we get them on the phone, we'll request our IFR clearance. This is Cessna 518 Foxtrot Tango on the ground at Saranac Lake looking to pick up our round-robin IFR. November 518 Foxtrot Tango, clear to Saranac Lake Airport via Lake Placid Airport, maintain 7,000, contact Boston Center on 120.35, squawk 4255. Clear to Saranac Lake via Lake Placid, maintain 7,000, centers on 120.35, squawk 4255. Your readback is correct, call us back with runway for departure and when you're number 1 and ready. We'll advise when ready, and we'd like to do the VCOA from runway 9. That's approved. Climb over Saranac Lake in visual conditions to 4,000. So we've gotten our clearance and coordinated our VCOA. We'll put our squawk code into the transponder and get ready to taxi out. We'll also enter in our flight plan. It's a pretty easy one, starting at Saranac Lake, KSLK, and then using Lake Placid as a waypoint, KLKP, then returning to Saranac Lake. Here's something to watch out for with round-robin flight plans in the Garmin. Right now, the unit assumes our destination is Saranac Lake, which it eventually is. But if we try to pull up a procedure, it'll give us the options for Saranac Lake, not the ones for Lake Placid. We need to activate a direct route to Lake Placid. What this will do is allow us to pull up the procedures for there. We'll be wanting that RNAV to runway 14. Lake Placid is very close to us, so things will be happening fast and furious after we take off. Let's have a look at the approach plate for runway 14 now. Notice the initial approach fix. Pougray is just to our west. We'll be proceeding there and doing the course reversal once cleared by ATC. We'll be on CTAF now as we taxi out. We can announce our taxi if we want to here as well. We'll use taxiway Charlie to get to runway 9. As we taxi, we want to do our IFR taxi checks, making sure the ASI reads 0, the AI is straight and erect, the altimeter reads within 75 feet of the 1,663 feet field elevation, the turn coordinator moves with the turn and the ball moves opposite, the DG and compass indicate the turn direction, and the VSI is 0, or we at least note the difference. We're at the hold short, so we'll call back Boston Center and let them know we're ready. This is 518 Foxtrot Tango, number 1 and ready, runway 9er at Saranac Lake. November 8 Foxtrot Tango, you're released for departure. Clearance void if not off by 1640 Zulu, time now 1635 Zulu. Released and void if not off by 1640, talk to you in the air. So we're all set. The next video, which you can head over to the website now and see, will cover the departure and climb out as we perform the visual climb over airport and get ready for our first approach. Click the link here or in the description to go see the full flight series. See you there.